You've felt it. That moment when time stops, and everything lines up in a way that feels impossible to explain. Like the universe whispered your name through a number, a phrase, a stranger's voice. You paused, goosebumps rising. But then, you brushed it off, told yourself it was nothing. Again. But what if it was everything? What if those random moments were the closest you've ever come to hearing the truth? What if every sign you ignored was your soul trying to get back to you? And now you're here, not by mistake, but because one more sign refused to be ignored. By the end of this video, you won't just understand synchronicity. You'll remember that it was never a coincidence. It was a conversation you forgot how to hear. If this already feels like a sign, that's because it is. Subscribe now, leave a like, and let it begin. From the moment you were born, something began to fade. Not your body, your perception. You were wide open, connected to things no one could explain. You noticed patterns, felt energy, knew things before they happened. But every time you shared, someone shut it down. It's just your imagination. That's silly. Stop daydreaming. They weren't trying to hurt you. They were just repeating what they were taught. But those phrases became a spell, a slow hypnosis. And the cost? Your inner knowing was buried alive. Education wasn't designed to awaken you. It was built to standardize you. Sit still, memorize, obey, follow structure. They taught you how to fit in, not how to tune in. And somewhere in that process, your intuition got labeled as error. You stopped trusting yourself. You stopped looking for signs. The invisible became irrelevant. Only what could be proven mattered. But deep down, your soul never stopped screaming. Every coincidence that made your heart race, that was it trying to break through. The system doesn't want you to see the signs, because if you do, you wake up. That's why they ridiculed the mystics, the visionaries, the ones who saw too much. Because once you start noticing, you stop being manageable. You start being sovereign. It wasn't just school. Society rewarded logic and punished intuition. Celebrate data, dismiss dreams, praise facts, silence feelings. But the human soul was never meant to be reduced to numbers. You are not a spreadsheet. You are a storm of signals. The biggest prison is the one you never knew you were in. And most people never even realize they're trapped because the cage looks like comfort. But the moment you question the program, you start noticing the cracks. That's how it begins. Do you remember when you stopped believing in magic? Probably not. That's the point. It didn't happen all at once. It happened by design. Slowly. Systematically. And the more disconnected you became, the more normal you were told you were. But normal is a lie. Normal is numbness disguised as sanity. You were born awake. Then they taught you how to sleep with your eyes open. Until one day, something shakes you. Something small. Something strange. And suddenly, you're not so sure anymore. Because the truth is still there. Underneath the noise. And now, for the first time in a long time, you're beginning to hear it again. But the question is, will you listen, or will you hit snooze one more time? What you lost wasn't your gift, it was your permission to use it. The greatest minds in history weren't just scientists. They were mystics in disguise. Jung saw patterns in dreams. Tesla received visions in silence. Einstein believed in a mind behind the universe. They weren't guessing. They were decoding reality itself. But we were never taught that, were we? Their mystical side was erased from the textbooks, sanitized, forgotten. Because if you knew what they knew, you'd start asking dangerous questions, questions that make you impossible to control. Tesla saw patterns. Jung heard whispers. And you're starting to remember. These weren't coincidences. They were confirmations. The universe speaks to those who are willing to listen. And history's geniuses were listening all the time. They saw what society calls irrational. They believed in signs, in frequencies, in hidden order. Not as superstition, but as evidence of something deeper, something intelligent, something responsive. And they were right. So why were we told to ignore it? Why were we trained to laugh at what the greatest minds respected? Because if everyone believed in synchronicity, intuition, and energy, no one would need permission. No one would wait for validation. You're not crazy. You're just seeing what they trained everyone else to miss. Imagine how different school would be if it taught you how to feel energy, how to track your intuition, how to decode the symbols in your life. That wasn't an oversight. It was on purpose. Because a person connected to the patterns can't be manipulated. A person tuned into synchronicity doesn't need constant direction. They're already being guided. And that's terrifying to any system built on obedience. The system praised the logical and punished the aligned. They called them dreamers, superstitious, delusional. But the delusion was thinking everything is random, that nothing is connected, that you're here without meaning, but you're not here by accident. You're part of a living equation. Every emotion, every thought, every signal matters. And the people who changed the world, they knew this. They didn't wait to be told what was real. They felt it. Now it's your turn. To stop dismissing what you feel, to trust what keeps showing up, because if it's showing up, it's speaking to you. And if it's speaking to you, maybe it's time you answer. You're not alone. You're just starting to hear what the awakened have always heard. If synchronicities aren't random, then what are they? What if every coincidence was a breadcrumb from something higher? Not luck, not chance, but intelligence, communication. A signal meant only for you. You think of someone and they call. You see the same number everywhere. You feel pulled to go somewhere and meet the exact person you needed. You call it coincidence, but your soul knows better. Coincidence is just the excuse we were taught to give when meaning feels too real. These moments don't happen by accident. They happen by alignment. Energy meets intention. Thought meets outcome. The more tuned in you are, the more often they happen, and when they do, it feels like the universe just winked at you. But here's the thing. Most people ignore them. They say it's just their brain playing tricks. They say, whatever. But deep down, something shifts. A whisper echoes. And they wonder, what? If that meant something, you never had bad luck. You were just deaf to the whispers of the universe. Because the signs are real. And once you accept that, life starts unfolding differently. Time bends. People appear. Doors open. It's not magic. It's resonance. By the way, if something inside you is buzzing right now, share this. Someone else is waiting for this reminder too. The more you notice, the more it multiplies. Not because reality changed, but because you did. Your awareness opened. Your filter shifted. You started tuning in like finding the right frequency on a cosmic radio. And guess what? The signal was always there. You just weren't listening. Synchronicities aren't trying to impress you. They're trying to wake you, to remind you that you're not just watching the world, you're shaping it. Once you believe that, the game changes. You stop waiting for permission. You stop doubting your intuition. You start trusting the flow. And that's when life starts moving, almost too perfectly. But synchronicities don't come just to comfort you. Sometimes they come to challenge you, to push you, to ask, are you awake enough to see me? Brave enough to follow? Because once you respond, you enter a new level of alignment. Once you see the pattern, you can't unsee it, and nothing feels random ever again. So how do synchronicities actually work? Is it just your brain connecting random dots? Or is something deeper moving behind the curtain? The truth is, your mind isn't just a receiver of reality. It's a participant, a co-creator, a transmitter. Your thoughts aren't silent, they broadcast. Your emotions don't sit still, they ripple. Every feeling you send out carries a frequency, and the universe doesn't ignore frequency. It answers it. Like tuning into a channel, your reality begins to echo your inner state. This isn't just mysticism, it's physics. The reticular activating system, RAS, in your brain filters reality based on focus. Buy a red car, and suddenly, you see red cars everywhere. They didn't appear. Your awareness shifted. The same happens with synchronicities, but it goes even deeper. Quantum physics shows that observation affects reality. The double-slit experiment proved that the moment you observe, reality responds. That's not philosophy. That's science, bending at the knees of consciousness. And what if your beliefs shape what you allow yourself to see? What if your subconscious mind is constantly rearranging reality to match the stories you silently believe? Reality doesn't respond to what you say. It responds to your energy. Think that's just coincidence? Maybe. Or maybe it's the universe testing if you're finally ready to hear. Synchronicity is what happens when thought and energy align so precisely that the world mirrors it back. Like a cosmic algorithm, input intention, receive reflection. That moment you think of someone and they text, it's not random, it's resonance. The law of vibration says everything moves, nothing is static. Not your body, not your thoughts, not your reality. Your frequency dictates what you attract, what you see, what you allow. Fear attracts chaos. Peace attracts clarity. That's why people who are awake to synchronicities seem lucky. They're not. They're tuned. They're aligned. They've stopped resisting what their energy already knows. They've stopped forcing and started listening. And when your conscious mind sets the intention, your subconscious begins to align. Patterns emerge. People show up. Numbers repeat. It's not your brain playing games. It's your soul updating your reality, because the more you believe, the more it builds. And the more it builds, the more undeniable it becomes. Until one day, you stop asking, why did that happen? And start saying, of course it did. Reality is not fixed, it's responsive. And the more you trust that, the faster it bends. Why do some people experience synchronicities all the time, while others feel completely disconnected? Is it luck, destiny, or something deeper? The truth is, synchronicities aren't reserved for the chosen. They're received by the tuned. Most people are stuck in a loop of logic, fear, and survival. They've been trained to ignore anything that can't be measured. They need proof. They want certainty, and that mindset becomes a wall, a frequency jam, a self-inflicted blindness. The biggest prison is the one you never knew you were in. That's what happens when you live by logic alone. The signals are still there, but you're not tuned in. You've got a soul craving meaning, and a mind denying it at every turn. Imagine standing in a room filled with radio waves, hundreds of songs playing at once. But unless you have a radio tuned to the right frequency, you hear nothing. That's how synchronicity works. You don't find the signs, you align with them. Now flip the script. Think of the people who live in flow. They notice symbols, they follow intuition, they trust timing. They're not lucky, they've just cleared the static. Their minds are open, their energy is receptive, their perception is sharp. Some people walk through life with blindfolds. Others learn to see with their soul. Which one are you? Synchronicity doesn't play favorites. It responds to attention. The more you acknowledge it, the more it shows up. The more you act on it, the louder it gets. It's not a miracle. It's a mirror, reflecting your willingness to receive. But here's the problem. Most people hesitate. They see a sign and second guess it. They feel a nudge and talk themselves out of it. That doubt kills momentum, and eventually, the signs stop showing up. Not because they vanished, but because you did. Your vibration matters. When you're in fear, your vision narrows. When you're in alignment, it expands. That's why people who meditate, practice mindfulness, or live with intention experience more synchronicity. They're tuned into the signal, and most importantly, they trust. They follow the signs. They move when something clicks. They don't wait for certainty. They respond to energy. And that response creates flow, momentum, miracles. If you keep ignoring the signs, they fade. If you act on them, they multiply. Think coincidences are just random? Click the card and see what's really behind them. Synchronicities aren't just meant to be noticed. They're meant to be decoded. You see a repeating number, a strange pattern, a phrase echoed by strangers. And you wonder, was that a sign? The answer? It depends on what you do with it. The first step is awareness. Most people are sleepwalking through life, too distracted to notice the universe speaking. But you're not here by accident. You clicked this video because your subconscious is already trying to wake up. You've always felt the signs. You just forgot how to read them. Start paying attention to what you're thinking or feeling right before something odd happens. The emotion is the key. The moment holds the message. Next, look for repetition. If something keeps showing up, numbers, symbols, names, it's not noise. It's a pattern. And patterns are the language of the universe. The more it repeats, the louder it's shouting. Then comes interpretation. Ask, what was I questioning? What decision am I avoiding? What am I being pulled toward? The answer is often hiding in plain sight. The sign is the nudge, but the meaning is yours to unlock. Some signs comfort you. Others confront you. The real ones do both. Keep a synchronicity journal. Sounds simple, but it's transformative. Write down every strange alignment, no matter how small. Over time, patterns emerge. Symbols repeat. The invisible becomes visible. Most importantly, act. That's where most people fail. They see the sign. They feel the shift. But then they wait, overthink, doubt, and the window closes. Synchronicity is an invitation, not a decoration. If you don't walk through the door, it disappears. You don't need to know the full plan. You just need to trust the next step. If a sign tells you to reach out, reach. If it tells you to pause, pause. If it says jump, then maybe, just maybe, it's time. If you see a sign and do nothing, don't be surprised when it stops knocking. Reality doesn't beg, it calls. And those who answer reshape everything. And here's the deeper truth. The more you act on synchronicities, the more your life becomes one. That's not magic, it's alignment, it's co-creation, it's the beginning of a very different way to live. Synchronicities aren't passive, they're portals, but only if you step through. Have you ever felt like you were meant for something bigger, but couldn't explain why? Leave a comment. Let's see who else feels the same. Not all synchronicities mean the same thing. Some confirm your path, some warn you, and others call you. But no one talks about this. Most people treat every sign as a green light, and that's exactly how they miss the message. What if the universe had a system? A coded way of guiding you, not just forward, but inward. There are 3 types of synchronicity, and once you learn to recognize them, everything changes. Because not every yes is a blessing. Some are tests. The first type is confirmation. You're on the right path, and reality mirrors it. The right person shows up. A phrase repeats. A number appears when you're in flow. When everything aligns, it's not luck, it's the universe saying, keep going. These are soft signals, supportive echoes from the field. They tell you, yes, this is it. You'll feel peaceful, empowered, focused. But don't confuse this with ease. Confirmation doesn't mean comfort, it means clarity. The second type, alert. And it's the one most people ignore. Sudden resistance, things breaking down. Warnings, in dreams, patterns that feel off. The universe saying, slow down, shift direction, or something will break. Before the fall, the universe always flips the light switch. Were you looking? Alert synchronicities are uncomfortable. They challenge your logic, but they're not punishment. They're protection. You might feel drained, uneasy, confused. Trust that. Energy never lies, especially when something's out of alignment. And the third type is the rarest, the one that cracks the veil. It's called mission. These synchronicities feel impossible to ignore. Repeating dreams, symbols in sequence, strangers delivering messages you can't explain. It doesn't feel like chance, it feels like calling. These are initiations. Invitations into a higher version of yourself. They arrive when you're ready, but not always when you're prepared. They demand action, courage, and surrender. You're not just being guided, you're being summoned. The danger? Mistaking one type for another. Thinking an alert is a mission. Chasing a sign that was meant to stop you. That's why awareness matters. Why discernment matters. Confusing a warning for a green light can reroute your destiny. So ask yourself, what type of synchronicity has been showing up for you? What have you ignored, dismissed, or delayed? Because if it's repeating, it's escalating. And if it's escalating, it's asking for your attention now. Some signs comfort you, some confront you, and some transform you forever. Recognizing synchronicities is just the beginning. The real transformation happens when you start creating them. You don't have to wait for the universe to speak. You can open the channel. You can become the kind of person reality can't ignore. It starts with intention, not vague hopes, clear, focused desire. When your heart and thoughts align, the signal gets stronger. Ask specific questions, set specific goals, and then watch. Synchronicity responds to clarity. Ask for signs. Speak with the unseen. Just don't expect it to answer in words. The universe doesn't reply like a friend. It responds like a mirror, with symbols, patterns, timing, and if you miss the subtle, you miss the sacred. Second, align your energy. If you're stuck in fear, stress, or doubt, your frequency contracts. That's why nothing flows. But when you lean into curiosity, gratitude, and trust, things open. People arrive. Answers appear. It's not luck. It's alignment. Do what raises your vibration. Meditate. Reflect. Move your body. Clean your space. Speak your truth. Every action you take in alignment with peace makes you more visible to the flow of reality. You become magnetic to meaning. Ever had a week where everything just clicked? That wasn't random. It was resonance. Now comes the part most people ignore. Action. Synchronicities are doorways, not decorations. If a sign invites you to move, move. If it points to someone, reach. If it says go, don't stall. Energy builds where movement begins, and guess what? The more you act, the more they build. Your trust becomes the amplifier, and suddenly your life isn't filled with occasional synchronicities. It is one. You stop chasing signs and start living inside them. But here's the deeper truth. Your subconscious is always listening. If you flood it with fear, it will protect you from risk. If you feed it with intention, it will guide you with precision. That's the power you've always had. You just weren't taught how to use it. Life doesn't change when the universe gives you a sign. It changes when you do something about it. If this feels like truth to you, then send this video to someone who stopped believing. You might be their sign. And once you fully step into this space of co-creation, synchronicities stop feeling magical. They start feeling normal. You don't live by chance anymore. You live by design. And what happens next is something you've never imagined. You were never waiting for signs. The signs were waiting for you. Now that you know the truth, what will you do with it? Most people feel the shift, then scroll back into sleep. But you didn't. You stayed. You listened. That alone already changed something. This video wasn't information. It was a sign, a signal you've ignored before, but not this time. You've crossed a threshold, and the universe is watching what you'll do next. You can treat this as content or confirmation. You can go back to noise or follow the message, because synchronicities don't wait forever. They test you to see if you're really ready. If you hesitate, they fade. But if you act, the signal amplifies. And soon, signs won't feel rare. They'll become the way you move through life, because you're not just seeing the pattern anymore. You've become it. If this message woke something up in you, subscribe to this channel and leave a like. This is just the beginning of your awakening. Comment below. My reality reflects what I believe. Share this video with someone who keeps saying, that's just a coincidence. They need this. And in the next video, we'll dive into how your subconscious creates signals before your conscious mind even catches up. You won't want to miss it.